Good evening, friends. Just a quick video here at the start of our reading series of Job to take a look at the big picture description of Job and to get us ready to start reading. Which the plan is we'll start reading Job in the morning. That's the plan. It's going to be a full morning, and a lot of that's going to be dependent on, well, me getting moving early. So we'll see how that all goes. But that's the plan. So let's look at the big picture. Good evening, Don and Linda. The big picture, the book of Job. There's a lot happening here in the book and on this big picture. There are 42 chapters. The prologue, the first two chapters. Job and his friends, that's the bulk of it. Chapter 3 through verse 37. Job and the friends. Oh, that deserves air quotes. With friends like Job's, one doesn't exactly need enemies, do they? Job's friends are, well, not exactly supportive. They're a little difficult. God's response, chapters 38 through 41. We'll get into these more as we're going through each of these sections. Let's focus on this corner here for a moment. That debate with friends. There's 3 cycles in this debate with the friends. Chapters 13 through 14 being one, chapters 15 through 21 being the second, chapters 22 through 28 being the third. And where this will bring us again and again is some really difficult questions, to be frank. Is God just? Does God run the universe on the strict principle of justice? How is Job's suffering to be explained? Those are all difficult questions, and what I would share with you is, hopefully, friends, we can ponder these more from a Jewish perspective than a Christian perspective, because from a Christian perspective, we don't like difficult questions. We don't like questions for which there are no easy answers. Our Jewish neighbors sometimes just like the questions for the sake of the questions, for the pondering that comes from the questions. A pondering that's not rooted in, we've got to find answers, but a pondering that is rooted in examination. Sitting with the questions. Oh, that makes us as Christians uncomfortable. hopefully we can kind of embrace that here. Yeah, we'll definitely get into that here. And I won't linger here too long because, well, we're going to get here and we can linger here as we read through here. But it's just a good thing to see for a moment. If I remember correctly, there's something else up here too. Oh, yes. This is a unique book in the Bible. It's set in Uz. Where is Uz? A long way away from Israel. All the characters in this are not Israelites. There is no clear historical setting, but it is clear that this happened long, long ago. There are some resources that like to try to put the Bible in chronological order, acknowledging that Genesis to Micah is not chronological order, which hopefully is kind of blatantly obvious. And some of those that try to make that chronological timeline will actually put Job as the oldest of the stories of Scripture. Maybe it is. Who knows? The point isn't for us to know when this happened. The point, I love that. The point, the author wants us to focus on the questions raised by Job's suffering. Why does the author want that? Because Job's suffering is, to some extent, the suffering of humanity in every generation. It's not all the same. We don't all have the same experiences. There are some folks that when we think of them, we think of Job more clearly than others. And if our eyes are wide open to our faith and our realities before God, it doesn't take much for us to be in Job's shoes. So the questions are there. Oh, yes. Questions that serve the purpose of inviting us to trust God's wisdom. There might be one too many words in that. How about just an invitation to trust God? Which isn't always that easy because when we start reading, I'll point out what's the role of God in this? And what is the role of the accuser, the enemy? And what's the power dynamic like between God and the accuser? Satana. Actually, Hasatana. Get the definite article in here is they do there. The Satan, the accuser. That's where we'll start. Like I said, the plan is we'll start reading tomorrow. It's interesting how these first two chapters are read by various folks. Really interesting. Bad theology can let God off the hook. Let me just say that as a teaser. But bad theology can make us feel better about a worldview of God that is, well, not authentic, but we feel better. Just saying. Good evening, Anthony. Friends, have a blessed night. Peace be with you.